History Inside a Nutshell, the show where we sail into our port of call discussing maritime history.
I apologise if you can't hear me. I think I'm coming down with a cold, but hopefully you can hear me okay. So in today's video, we are going to be stepping away from Titanic for a bit and focus on other maritime subjects. And this one has been highly requested by DK and Jax, my friends from the Discord group. But DK requested to narrate this video himself, so without further ado, I'll leave you in the capable hands of DK.
How did maritime trade impact the spread of disease? From the early days of sailing of maritime travel, passengers and crew would traverse the globe trading, conquering and colonizing. Along with these travelers, they bring many aspects of their homeland, some positive and some negative. Amongst the worst of the worst are the numerous diseases shared between populations. Diseases were common, and they often caused concern. There was a mixture of them across the continent, but over time, with thanks to modern medicine, there have been fewer cases of diseases on board ships. But however, that is not always the case. In this video, we are going to be looking into a variety of diseases from different centuries, and we will also look into the two main historical events that changed the world and explain how a disease pandemic could affect those on board. Before the age of modern medicine, there have been recorded diseases like smallpox, yellow fever, and malaria, but the most common disease is scurvy. Scurvy between the 16th and 18th centuries killed more than 2 million crew members because of a lack of vitamin nutrition. The likely symptoms they would have are chronic fatigue syndrome, dysthymia, swollen, bleeding gums, skin bruises, red or blue spits, and severe joint or leg pain. The disease could debilitate sailors after months at sea, not realizing that they need vitamin C in their diets. Things changed in the 18th century when Scottish physician James Lind introduced oranges and lemons to cure scurvy. His experiment proved to be successful, but it wasn't until 42 years later that the Admiralty issued an order for the distribution of lemon juice for crew members to drink. Today, there are fewer cases of scurvy on board ships, particularly in the Navy, with the credit of the Navy Food Service providing nutritious meals to prevent the disease. Although scurvy was the most common disease, one of the oldest infectious diseases to be recorded was leprosy. Leprosy dates back to 2000 BC, when the disease was believed to be found in India before it spread to other countries like East Africa, China, Asia, and Europe. But the outbreak of the disease can likely trace back to the extinction of the Neanderthals, further back before people would travel by sea. Leprosy is a bacterial infection which could be spread through the droplets from the nose and mouth, which is similar to COVID. If a person catches leprosy if they had months of close contact, especially in closed environments like ships. If caught, early stages of leprosy includes numb skin patches, nerve damage, muscle weakness, deformed facial features, feet or hands have damaged eyesight. The symptoms worsen over time, and rather than death, the diseases leave permanent diseases if not medically treated. Today, leprosy can be treated with a combination of antibiotics that could be taken between a period of 6 and 12 months. Another case of diseases that had been spread on ships and on land was the infamous historical event, the Black Death. The Black Death, or the bubonic plague, a type of Yersinia pestis, a bacterial infection, was first recorded in Asia, and later in the mid-1300s, the disease spread on board ships and then to other countries like Europe and China. The bubonic plague came from infected fleas living in small mammals. With this disease, fleas would travel from mammals to humans. With one bite, a person would be infected with a range of symptoms like swelling under the armpits, fever, diarrhea, and black fingers and toes. It was believed that the plague came from the rats who were on board the ship that landed on the Dorset coast after traveling from Gascony in France in June of 1348. The bubonic plague spreads around villages and towns, with some found in households. But it wasn't just the rats. There was an increase in the bubonic plague due to poor hygiene conditions, and it was likely that the fleas or the rats breed in the sewages because of this. There are more deaths with a mortality rate of approximately 50%. By the time the plague ended in around 1350, a third and a half of the population died. There had been many diseases for maritime trade in the next 8 centuries, and by the 21st century, another pandemic broke out on board a cruise ship, the opposite to naval and merchant ships. In late 2019, the World Health Organization was informed of cases of pneumonia in Wuhan City, China. Although the cause was unknown at this time, the unknown case of pneumonia would be identified as a new breed of the virus, later named coronavirus or COVID-19. When the coronavirus pandemic hit, cases of the virus were recorded on various cruise ships. This occurred during the early stages of the pandemic, and although the virus could have easily been carried on air travel, people were prone to catch the virus at sea. Because of crowded semi-enclosed areas, limited medical resources, and increased exposure to new environments, the virus heightened the risk to crew and passengers. One of the well-known cases was the British-registered cruise ship the Diamond Princess, when in January of 2020, an 80-year-old passenger from Hong Kong disembarked the ship in Yokohama, not realizing they had the virus until they tested positive nearly a week later. By then, the cruise ship was carrying the disease, and on its next voyage, 10 passengers tested positive for COVID-19. As a result, the ship was quarantined in the port of Yokohama in Japan on 4th of February. On board the ship, nearly 400 out of the 3,711 people, including the 132 crew members, were infected. Although home countries arranged to evacuate people from the cruise ship, their time on board brought further consequences. By April of 2020, 712 tested positive and 14 people died from COVID. After being cleaned and disinfected, the cruise ship was cleared to sail again. In response to the events, Japan paid 94% of medical expenses. Today, vaccines are available for all COVID-19 variants, and since then, most countries had lower cases. Although modern medicine had largely wiped out disease as a cause for concern in modern travel, diseases can still spread by accident and often unknowingly. Is it a concern but past events have paved the way for safer travel? It's likely, but medicine will not always win the fight, but seeing through the past will be enough to make maritime travel hygienic and secure.
And I want to give a massive thank you to DK for narrating this video. DK, it has been an absolute pleasure. And if you want to head over to my Discord server, the link will be in the description box down below.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe for future videos. Until next time, this has been History Inside a Nutshell, departing from the dogs. Thank you so much for all of your support and enjoy the rest of your voyage.